Hey, what's going on guys, Turtywurty here, and welcome back to another Minecraft modding tutorial for version 1.15. Now in this video I'm going to be going over some tree generation, but the first thing I would like to mention is that we do have to totally change our sapling class and how we are doing that. So that's actually the first thing we're going to do, as it's pretty essential for this. So what we did originally was we basically just extended the sapling block. Now the issue is that's not going to work, because by doing that, that means the tree tries to register before the block has registered, and that basically throws us a few errors. So I'm going to fix that up, and we're going to recreate the sapling class. It's pretty simple, so you don't really need to worry about it, or at least you don't need to worry about what the code does, because it's pretty simple. You should understand it anyways. So the first thing we're going to want to do, obviously, is get rid of this null right here, because obviously that gives us a few errors. So we are actually going to change this to a supplier, and it's going to be a supplier of a new jazz tree, just like that. Obviously we haven't created that yet, but don't worry, that's perfectly fine, because we will be creating that soon. Now let's go into our sapling block, and let's delete it. We're instead going to extend bush block, and we're going to implement iGrowable. And no capital R. Import those, and just add the brackets. Okay, now the first thing we're going to want is the constructor, and this is going to take in a supplier, so supplier of tree, and we're going to call that tree in, and it's also going to take in the properties, so properties, and we'll call that properties. Just like that. Import tree from net.minecraft.block.tree, and supplier from java.util.function.supplier. And in here we can just super off of properties to give the super class our properties, or tell it what our properties are. And once we've done that, we can create a few variables in here. So first is the stage of it. So that is a public static final integer property, and we're going to call that stage, and that's going to be equal to block state properties dot stage underscore 0 underscore 1, which means it has two stages basically. And you do need to make sure you import the right block state properties. I think I imported the wrong one. No, I did import the right one. Oh, I imported the wrong integer property. So yeah, you do need to make sure you import the correct integer property from net.minecraft.state.integer property. Okay. The next variable you need to create is the voxel shape. So that is just a protected static final voxel shape, and I'm just going to be using what the sapling uses for this. So we're going to call that shape, and that's just block dot make cuboid shape. The first one is just 2.0D, the second one is 0.0D, third one is 2.0D, the fourth one is 14.0D, the fifth one is 12.0D, and the sixth one is 14.0D. Just like that. And finally, we need the tree variable. So that is a private final supplier of tree, and we're just going to call that tree. Import voxel shape, and yep, that will get rid of that error. Then we just need to initialize the tree variable, so this dot tree is equal tree in. And now we need a few methods. So first is get shape, with the one with all these parameters, and we're just going to return shape. Next we need the tick method, just like that. Okay, and in here you want the super.tick, that's correct. And then we can do if not world in dot is area loaded, and that's going to take in pos and 1. And then if it's not, we want to return. Then if world in dot get light, because we want to check light levels of the position dot up, so the block that's above it, is greater than or equal to 9. So basically if mobs can not spawn. So if it is, and a random dot next int of 7 is equal to 0. So that basically makes it a bit more random. And if it is, we want to do the method this.grow, and that takes in world in, pos, state, and rand. Obviously we haven't created this grow method yet, or at least not the right one. And then let's just suppress this to get rid of that error. Okay, but now we can go ahead and create this grow method. So as a public void grow, and first that takes in the server world, and I'm just going to call that server world, the block pos, the block state, the random rand, and then we can do if state dot get, and we want to get stage is equal to 0. Then server world dot set block state pos state dot cycle stage, and then 4. So 4 is just the flag that we're doing. And then else we want to do if not forge event factory dot sapling grow tree server world rand pos. Then we want to just return, and then we can do this dot tree dot get dot, and then this func right here, server world dot get chunk provider dot get chunk generator, pos state rand. And that's it for that grow method. Then we just need the other grow method as well, so just have that there. Change this to server world, change this to rand, change this to pos, and change this to state. Then in here we just want to do this.grow, this.grow of the server world, the pos, the state, and the rand. Then we need the method can grow, so if it can grow or not, and we just want to return true in here because we want it to be able to grow. And then we want the method can use bone meal. It's literally self-explanatory. In here we want to return, and we're going to cast a double to world in dot rand dot next float less than 0.45d. So that just basically does some random math to calculate whether we can use the bone meal or not. And then we want the fill state container method, in which we just want to do builder.add, and we want to add the stage. Okay, now that is it for the sapling class, so let's just format that, import everything, and we can close that now. In here we do have an error, because we still haven't created this jazz tree, so let's go ahead and do that. So in our world package, in a feature package which I have created, we want a new class called jazz tree. This is just going to extend tree. Make sure you import the correct tree. Yep, net.minecraft.block.trees.tree. In here we first want the config, so that is a public static final tree feature config, and we're going to call that jazz underscore tree underscore config, and that's going to be equal to, in brackets, a new tree feature config dot builder. First, that takes in a simple block state provider, so we can do a new simple block state provider. This is basically, just so you know, this is basically the actual tree generation, so you can customize this how you want, but the first one is the log of the tree. So I'm doing block init new dot log jazz log dot get default state, and then it's the leaves, so that's pretty much the same thing. So a new simple block state provider of block init new dot the leaves dot get default state. After that, it is just the foliage placer, so that is a new blob foliage placer, and in here we want to it's basically the placer, so I'm going to do 3 and 0, come out 3 brackets, and we can set the base height as first. So I'm going to set the base height to be 14 for mine, and then the height rand A, so it's the A random height, I'm going to set that to 5, and then the foliage height, I'm going to set that to 9. These are just some random values I'm coming up with, but obviously if you wanted it to be special values, you can work those out for yourself. And then after that, it's just .set sapling, and we're going to cast iPlantable, and we're going to cast that to block init new dot sapling dot get, and then we come out and we do dot build. And just import iPlantable, and as you can see that's quite long, but if we just format that, it comes down to only 5 lines. Okay, now we actually need to do the method it wants, which is get tree feature. Now this takes in a random and a boolean. I've got to be honest, I'm not sure what this boolean is, so I've just been renaming it B for boolean. But in here you just return feature dot normal tree dot with configuration, and then jazz tree config, and that's pretty much it. Now all you need to do if you want it to be in your biome is actually add it to the biome. But one thing I have done, which I would just like to mention, you can look in my GitHub for more info on this, but I have made a new surface builder, and basically that makes some of the blocks dirt and some of the blocks our example block, so we kind of have a mixture of blocks, but you can look in my GitHub to see that. I actually have named this Homelands, which is where I got it from. What should we call it? We can just call it example underscore surface. There we go. And that's just my surface builder to get some dirt. I wanted the main block to still be my example block, so I have done basically just some noise on the ground block. But to add it, you need to go into your biome class, and below where you've been doing these features, you just do another list add feature, and you just want to add well, first you need to do the generation stage, so generation stage dot decoration, and it's just vegetal decoration, and then it's just feature dot normal tree dot with configuration, jazz tree dot jazz tree config, and then dot with placement, and the placement you want is placement dot count underscore extra, count extra height map, and then you can configure it with a new at surface with extra config, and I've just done in here 10, so that's the count 10. 10's actually quite a lot. I'm going to put it to 7, and then the extra chance I'm just going to set to 0.1, and the extra count I'm going to set to 1 as well, and just format that, and it does it. If you are having an error here with configuration or with placement or configure, you need to make sure you update your mappings and that you are in version 1.15.2, not 1.15.1. You can update those very easily, but after you have run those commands, you need to make sure you're running the command. I'll just type it down here, gradlu dash dash refresh dash dependencies. You need to make sure you run that command after you're updating your mappings. So I will just say update mappings post command, so that you guys can come into my GitHub and just see that there. And that's pretty much it. I will just show you this surface builder. It's just a bit of maths. Basically, on a random chance of 3, if it's 0, it will build it normally, so with our example block, and then that's not meant to be dirt actually, is it? That's meant to be our def block right there. So look, we can just fix that one. And then so example block, def block, acacia planks, and then else it basically does, if I is 1, it does grass block, and if it's not 1, it does our example block, and then we set it to def block, and then we do acacia planks. So now what we can go ahead and do is, I think we can go ahead and run the game. Yeah, that should be it. So let's run the game, and I will see you guys there. Okay, so as you can see, the trees are definitely spawning, and now that I have done the surface builder, as you can see, the mushrooms have started spawning as well, which is lovely. Yeah, that's nice. All the mushrooms, all the trees. I think the trees are still a bit common, and they are very big. I made them slightly bigger than I intended, but that's fine. It honestly doesn't matter, does it? It's just, you know, an example. But I will show you that you can now grow the sapling. So if I just grab Biome, before it didn't crash actually, which I was quite surprised about. It just gave a null in the log, so it didn't actually crash, which might not be too much of an issue if you didn't actually want the sapling to do anything. Oh wow, did I mess up that that box? 'Cause that is tall. Holy lord! Wait, how tall is that? What did I do? 1 second, let's go into our block class. Let's see, did I accidentally put 140 instead of 14 or something? Like, let's have a look. 120. Yeah, that's meant to be 12. That's why. I'm sure you didn't mess up that error like I did. But yeah, when you grow the tree, as you can see, big chunky boy. They're not all the same size, as you can see. Some should be a bit smaller. It's quite hard to actually tell. I think that one's a bit smaller than like that one. That one's quite small. Yeah, that one's quite small. As you can see, they're really common. I didn't mean for it to be this common. That's definitely for sure. But I think this is coming along quite well now. We've got a nice dimension coming along. Next thing I want to do in dimensions is structures, so that's going to be very exciting, and I have to come up with what sort of structure I want. And then I will probably do fluids, so instead of this all being water, it will be our own fluid. I'll probably do that soon as well. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this tutorial. If you did, please do be sure to smash your face into that like button. If you really enjoyed, please do be sure to share it, and if you want to be notified of when I next upload, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell, because I mean, why not, really? So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.